Warning: All Things Crime is a true crime production that may contain violent or disturbing material. Viewer or listener discretion is advised. How do the small town agencies get it all done? They have limited resources, they have limited numbers of people, but they still manage to get it done. You're going to love this discussion with Detective Sean Gorman from the Lincoln, Rhode Island Police Department. Here's part one. All right. Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of All Things Crime. And today I'm just beyond excited. Not only is it in between Christmas and New Year's, which is probably one of the best times in the entire year because of all the bowls and everything that's happening, at least those that aren't being canceled by COVID. And but I also have the opportunity to have a little discussion with a man that is, I've been doing a little research on him, and I'll tell you, Detective Sean Gorman out of the Lincoln Police Department in Rhode Island is not only a 19-year veteran with the Lincoln Police Department, but also a very well-versed man, and he's an adjunct professor, and he's also a graphic designer. So MBA in business or in criminal justice, and a bachelor's degree in business, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, I hope I didn't slaughter that too much, but Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So we actually met on LinkedIn, and those of you that are listening or watching this on YouTube, first of all, I definitely appreciate everybody that has subscribed. And if you haven't yet, just smash that subscribe button and definitely share this with your friends. So, but Sean, we met on LinkedIn just real briefly, and you made a comment on one of the posts that I was following, and I thought it was just really introspective. And so I thought, you know what, this is a guy that not only has a lot of experience that I think the audience would be interested in, but also you have things to say. So wanted to give you a little platform and have you jump on here and tell us a little bit about yourself and what it's really like. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to any of the other episodes, basically this show is all about everything about the investigative process, and a big part of that is detective work and crime scene investigative work, which I know you're also certified as a CSI. And which is impressive, man. You do it all. So,
thank you.
So let's get started with, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background, first of all, because it's so diversified. There's a lot of police officers that don't have a background as diverse as yours, and how you got into policing and kind of, where where you've gone from there.
Great. Yeah. So my father was a police officer in the same town in Lincoln, Rhode Island. It's a small town in a small state, so it's not as impressive as most other large police departments. But we do have a casino, and is the only casino. Well, there's a small casino, but it's the largest casino in the area. It's Twin River. Just recently bought the name Bally's. So we do have a lot of big town problems with a small town police department. So it affords me the benefit of, I guess, being a jack of all trades, master of none, because we do a lot with what we have, which is very little because we're a small town. So, but my father was a detective. He was the detective commander at the time. He retired back in the 80s. And I always kind of felt this draw towards policing, but I didn't know whether it was for me or not. And then I ended up going into business. I got a degree at University of Rhode Island in business administration. And then from there, I decided I wanted to do more of the advertising portion of it. So I decided to go to RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, and get a degree in graphic design. I did that for several years, making some good money. I was pretty happy. And then one day while I was designing hernia patches, which are actual patches that go onto hernias, I was designing the packaging for that. I watched two planes slam into the World Trade Center, and that was it. I was like, that I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not helping anybody. No one's going to remember me. I'm not going to have a legacy by designing hernia patch boxes. So about 6 months later, I was in the police academy, and I became a police officer.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, 9/11, it's amazing how many people weren't even alive, that are now doing business. And, I see a lot of them on LinkedIn, see a lot of them, that are in college and things, and they weren't even alive when 9/11 happened. So a lot of the emotion, a lot of the just shock. I remember the whole economy basically just kind of went into stall mode when that happened. I think everybody was just in utter disbelief that could happen on U.S. soil. But I think it inspired a lot of people to join the military, or join the police force, to do something that would actually serve the community, as opposed to just serving, like you said. I mean, being a graphic designer is important work, and we always need good graphic designers, but people that are willing to step up and put a uniform on and serve, can't go wrong with that.
No, I agree. It was definitely difficult. And the best part of it was when I first got on. Obviously, that has changed dramatically. When I first got on, I would drive down the streets, and I'd have kids running up to my patrol car and thanking me and wanting to be me and talking to me. And it was amazing. And it was what my father promised it would be. And then, he's not around to see this, thank God. If he was, he'd be heartbroken. But I mean, things obviously changed. They ebbed and flowed, as I expected. I didn't expect to be the hero, always. I get it. We are a target. When things happen in the world, they blame everybody. They blame all police officers. But I didn't think it was ever going to get as bad as it is now. To the point where I've been doing a lot of soul searching myself on whether I want to retire, whether I want to stick around. I'm deciding I want to stick around for a little bit, just because I feel that there's more I can do by sticking around and helping out my community and helping out my police department, because we've lost a third of our police department.
Wow. Now that's, when you say a third of your police department, first of all, how many officers do you have?
Believe it or not, we have 37.
Okay. And you're supposed to be at what, 50? 55?
No, we've always maxed out at 37, and that's where we're going to go back to the whole small town thought process. Is that we have a very transient population. We have a community college, we have a mall, we have movie theaters, we have Amica's home base, Amica Insurance home base, we have the casino. So we have a very, very transient population. We only have a population between 20 and 25,000. So they base our police department off of our population. And that's not the best thing to do. As you can imagine, a lot of these beach communities, for instance, they've got more than us, because they know when the summer comes, all heck is breaking loose. So they plan ahead. We've never really done that. We've always been stuck in the kind of the small town feel, but we do have a lot of, serious crime because of the casino and because of what the casino and the schools and the malls bring in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When I have a really good friend who is over the crime scene unit at Miami Beach PD, and some of the stuff he describes during spring break is just it's just unreal. But a lot of these people, they come in, it's not part of their community, and so they have just this attitude that they just don't care. They're going to do whatever they want to do, whatever they feel like doing at the moment, which especially for the younger crowd is going to be totally off the wall most of the time. And a lot of it's illegal. And when you have that transient crowd of what you're talking about, it can make major problems for especially a smaller, community like yours. You're just not equipped to handle that, like massive numbers of of people that have to go to jail or anything like that. It's crazy how much it can sap your resources in a relatively short amount of time.
Right. One big case, cripples us for quite a while, like obviously. But the thing about also the casino is that for some strange reason, the rules of society cease to exist within the walls of the casino. It makes no sense. People that don't have criminal records, elderly people that have gone 70 years plus, living a great life, will all of a sudden steal a purse. A person that is a doctor or a lawyer who has obviously a flawless record will all of a sudden get into a fist fight with another person. And it makes no sense. I wish I could explain it. I'm sure there's studies that are done, but none that I'm aware of. I just don't understand what these people think when they go in the walls of this casino. They realize, okay, I don't know. I don't know what happens to their psyche.
That's interesting because I actually lived in Las Vegas for 4 years, and the casino industry there obviously is massive, and the number of people that come in there and it fluctuates by weekend. But there's some interesting studies that have happened with gambling in general, and they've looked at the different serotonin and all of these different hormones that are released when somebody is gambling. And I'll bet you money that has a big part of it, of what you're describing there, because if you combine everything from sex to the adrenaline to, everything that's released when you're happy, when you're excited, when you're exercising, all of those, the crazy thing about gambling is all of those are released when you're gambling. And so it's like the drive to continue gambling is so addictive that it doesn't surprise me at all of what you're describing, just to see a doctor that would have a perfect record, have a practice to protect. And yet when he's gambling, especially if something goes wrong, that he would resort to some kind of a crazy, irrational behavior, because again, everything that's being released during gambling is, I'll bet you that has a big part to do with it. So
I'm sure
little side note there.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. And again, these are the type of criminals that I thought I was going to be dealing with in my career. You deal with someone and you arrest them and you look at their record and I'm like, I can't believe I'm arresting this guy. This guy is a father. He's been married 25 years. He's got a practice in Boston and now I'm putting handcuffs on him and he's calling me every name in the book. And then he wakes up the next morning in the jail cell and I have the best conversation with him. The man is just a pleasant man. And I have to bring him to court and arraign him in front of a judge, and I almost feel like telling the judge, like, let's just forget everything. I mean, this guy's great. He's a nice guy. I wish he was my doctor, but then unfortunately, that's not the case. You have to deal with your mistakes, and you reap what you sow. So,
right. Well, and that brings up a really important point. I'd love to get your thoughts on. Is there's so much going on right now where it seems that blaming the police for all of society's problems is the answer to everything. And I think there's a big misunderstanding of really what the role of the police officer is, the law enforcement officer in general, and how you guys, so there's times when you can use discretion, but there's other times when you can't. So I don't know if this is an area that you want to delve into, but let me know, tell me what you think of when you get a call to service, and like for that doctor, for example, what could you have done and what were you obligated to do?
Well, for instance, first of all, to kind of backtrack, I think everybody right now is scared and they're confused. And, back when COVID first started, everybody was half the country was upset with the politics and the president. It was a nightmare. And, then COVID popped up and everyone just mixed messages and people get very, very nervous, very, very scared. And when they get nervous and scared, they get irrational. And unfortunately, we became the whipping boy because of that awful video with George Floyd. We became the whipping boy, and all the animosity, all the fear, everything was directed at police. And, we represent politicians. I am Donald Trump. I mean, because I'm a police officer, I must be a right-wing conservative racist. I must be. I mean, that's what everyone assumed. And it was incredibly, incredibly hurtful, especially for someone like myself that, I've always tried to be, fair and impartial, and I'll go into the whole doctor thing where you show up and you just try to help people. The first thing you think of is not, hey, I'm going to kill somebody. Hey, I'm going to beat somebody. Hey, I'm going to arrest somebody. Hey, I'm going to ruin somebody's life. That's not what anybody does. Now, one police officer I know, walks in the squad room and takes off his jacket and sits down with his coffee and says, you know what I'm going to do today? I am going to shoot somebody. I'm going to kill someone. I'm going to ruin someone's life. Nobody does that. And for people to think that happens is insane. So when I deal with this doctor, the first thing that happens when I show up is just the wind is completely knocked out of my sails. I just show up and you can almost see me on video. You just see me go, oh, like I don't want to deal with this. Are you serious? You hit, and then I run the guy, and I see that he's a good man, and the person that he hit was a good person, but the problem is there's an assault and there's injuries, and it's on high definition camera, and people are crowded around, and it's a big to do. So you have to make arrests. You have to, because if you don't, then it's the opposite of the thing. We're not doing our job, which in itself is hysterical. So if we do our job, then we're awful. If we don't do our jobs, then we're awful by the other half. So, but unfortunately, in that case, you show up, you have to arrest somebody, you have to make an arrest, you have to take statements, you have to do everything. And then when it goes into the court system, hopefully things, work out. The man doesn't have a record. Hopefully there was no in that case, there wasn't any serious injuries. It was just pushing and shoving, and the guy fell down. And if anything, you probably get a filing, I think, after it was all said and done with. Which is nothing, which is just kind of like super secret probation in Rhode Island. It's, they kind of put your name in a drawer and just stay out of trouble. So, and he was from Mass anyways, so stayed out of Rhode Island. But it's definitely not what I signed up for. It's a deal with people like that because, it's just, they're there and they're just having a bad time.
Yeah. Well, and then you start involving, like I said, the whole aspects of gambling, but, might've been some drinking involved.
Might have been.
Yeah, might have been. That doesn't happen very often in the casinos, right?
No, we never ever have problems with people drinking too much.
Right. Yeah, they're sitting there at a slot machine. They got all those, all those addictive chemicals running through their bodies, and then start adding, I don't know, mind-numbing drinks to it. And a couple of Long Island iced teas, and they're done. But anyway, that happens. It doesn't just happen in casinos, but you can go to beaches, you can go to bars, you can go to just about any place. Ball games, you see people do that. Oh my gosh, we just went through the Christmas season, and so you see people that are completely irrational, just running into Walmart when it first opens on a Friday morning right after Thanksgiving, and you're like, what is wrong with this guy? Right. He's like punching somebody over a TV or something like that. So
I'm sure there are 5 stories on the TV right now that are talking about people acting irrationally. That's all you see is just that. It seems like that's commonplace right now. So I guess people could probably understand me now more than ever is when they see, these reactions on planes and airports. And like you said, during Christmas time, and toilet paper, and milk and all this other stuff. So, it's similar. You don't understand what's happening with these people.
Yeah.